Hey John, how you doing? All right, thanks for including your work. Um, Shapes exercise looks great. Yes, these are all shapes. Shape, 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 shape. This could be a modified uh, um, rounded corner um, rectangle. That could be definitely adjusted from a shape. That's a shape. Everything here is a shape, so this is great. The only thing really that is more organic that probably wasn't derived from a shape is the shoes, and of course this drawing here, this silhouette, which is done really well. I'm just wondering if you did this in Illustrator with the pen tool because it's done really well. If you didn't, it would be great practice with your pen tool to go along that line. Like I said, I'm not real sure how you executed the basketball player shooting with the jump shot. So, but it looks great. So good job, good job. Let's go ahead and take a look at the poster. I think the poster it's got its great start. Really good stuff here. I got a few comments I think are going to make sense. So let's go ahead and take a look. Right now, I think there's a couple of things that are not as well defined as they could be. And I think the cassette is really something that kind of introduces us into the composition itself. So that I would recommend to adjust that cassette for two reasons. Number one, it's not the shape that a cassette was. If you just Google cassette tape from the 80s, you'll get an idea. They weren't quite so long. They were a little bit less than that. I remember them very well. I probably still have a few laying around downstairs in my storage, but they were funky. They really were funky. They were kind of cool, but definitely indicative of the 80s. So yeah, I would recommend that you go ahead and try to take a look, do some visual research, maybe jump on Google, do an image search and say, cassette tape from the 80s. So you can take a look to see more of what it was shaped like. And then also the tape inside, that's an oval. Those tapes were round. I mean, it would have, you could imagine it as a tape round, wrapping around a round spool, of course, would indicate a round pattern around that. So other than that, Take Me Back, 1985, that's cool. I think your illustrations are really good. Really nice job, great start. There's a couple of areas I'm a little concerned about in terms of the illustration. So I'm going to jump in here and I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Some of these areas with your pen tool aren't as organically curved as they could be. We can see some hiccups right here. I mean, that should be a perfect spiral, right? They should be perfect curves. That should be a perfect curve right there. That is probably pen tool. And there's a couple of different things you can use. You can use the curve tool, or you can really adjust your pen tool. And you can also use the smooth tool. So those are all tools that will definitely, but we want perfectly organic curves here. See how that's kind of hiccup right there, right there. Some other areas where we see that the curves could be a little bit more natural, especially I think in the hair. Um, and then also, boy, gosh, I'm just dying to see a face on this guy. I shouldn't say a face. I should say more of a defined face here. Um, Now, as far as your color palette goes, I think the color palette, I think that, yes, the 80s were a time of this kind of postmodern, ultra saturated use of color. I mean, absolutely. Think of MTV graphics. So definitely. And this is an interesting situation because it seems as though um, the color choices are really super vibrant, but maybe almost too much so. And I'm saying that about basically, I think it's the background that's the culprit here. And what we're having here is we're having what is called visual vibration. So if you kind of jump into this and take a look at it, kind of zoomed in, you can see some of these. It creates this optical illusion where some of the areas seem to be vibrating. That's called visual vibration, and it's a result of areas that have ultra high contrast in colors. And I think we see that with a lot of times it happens with complementary colors at a very, very high saturation level um, and a high vibrancy level, as we see here between the yellow and the purple. So my recommendation is just maybe select a different color for the background, maybe something that's not quite so vibrant and saturated. And that will do two things. Number one, it'll reduce the visual vibration. And number two, it will enhance these colors by actually promoting them to advance a little bit in the composition. So let me describe that. Fully saturated, vibrant colors tend to advance in a composition, right? And so if we take this color, which is fully saturated and vibrant, the background color, and we mute it down a little bit, it's going to cause these to advance, kind of making them pop off the page a little bit. It's a really neat technique. Try it. I think you'll like it. Boy, I just think this guy is dying for black glasses. Black glasses were just all the rage in the 80s. And I'll tell you what, those, even to take it a step further, those Wayfarers, remember Ray-Ban Wayfarers? They were just all the rage in the 80s. So maybe consider that. Maybe put a mouth on this guy just to give him a little bit of a further connection with the viewer. Um, Everything else I think is really, really fantastic. The bottom looks great. Love the DeLorean. That was awesome. Watch that panel on the phone. It's still purple. And then, you know what? Since you're so well progressed, think about coming in here and adding some highlight techniques here. I would stay away from gradients here, but you can add solid techniques to indicate a light source, maybe something right over here. Let me show you. There's an example in the course. This example right here, this is Rachel's. And take a look at the way that the Golden Gate is shaded. It indicates shadow and highlight areas without using gradients, using solid colors. And it's just a really cool technique, and I think it would really be something that would be considered here to add visual engagement. But other than that, I think it's a fantastic start. So great job. So let's go ahead and jump into maybe considering those changes in your final solution. Also, you made a little bit more detail in some areas here, maybe the hubs of the wheels, the foam seems like maybe a little more detail here and there. And I realize this is a work in progress, but it's really, actually, it's coming along beautifully. So great job. All right, any questions at all, please let me know. Thanks, man.